Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sue's Day. I'm Sue Ann Jafarian, the fat woman driving the Novel RV. I'm coming to you today from Alabama. By the time you see this, I'll be in another state. I've really enjoyed the time I've spent here in Alabama, but it's time to move on. I also wanted to film this outside, but right now it's about 36 degrees outside. We're experiencing a little bit of a cold snap, and trust me, you don't want to see me cold and trying to film a video. Not pretty. Anyway, today's topic was recommended by my friend Marty. He is also a traveler, and he wanted me to do a video on how I have evolved in the 4 to 5 years I've been living in my van and traveling on the road. And I think that's a good topic because after so many years, looking back, I have evolved a great deal. And I think it can be broken down into 3 types of evolution. 1 is as a person, 2 is as a writer, and 3 as a nomadic traveler. So I want to address how I've evolved as a person. 1 is I realize I don't need as much stuff to be happy. When I first took to the life on the road, I downsized and got rid of about 95% of my things. I don't even have a storage locker. I got rid of things. And the first year I was on the road, I purged a lot of stuff from the van. And I still purge about once a year. I'll go through and I'll gather up clothes I never wear, appliances maybe I never use, and I donate them. So I'm constantly getting rid of things. Now, that doesn't mean I don't buy new things, new clothes, or, a new appliance that I want to try out. But for the most part, I'm living with just a very tiny, tiny percentage of what I used to think I needed. And I'm happier. And as a person, I'm happier, not just because I have fewer things, but this lifestyle agrees with me. I'm healthier since I started on this journey. I lost 50 pounds my first year, and I've managed to keep it off for the most part. It still fluctuates a little, but I've managed to keep most of it off. And I go out more, I walk more, it's just a healthier lifestyle for me. I used to have bouts of depression. I still do, but they're not as deep, don't last as long. I can shake them off easier. For me, this has been a game changer in my life. I believe for me, living this lifestyle is adding years to my life. Now, that might not be the case for everyone, but for me, it has, I believe, added years to my life. I also have enjoyed meeting people all over the country and seeing how other people live. You just can't travel and not have your mind expanded and opened by other ideas. Now, I don't always agree with people I meet, but my life is made richer by meeting new people and not being so insulated or living in a bubble. I'm also more self-sufficient than I ever thought I'd be. When I lived in an apartment, if something broke or I needed something, I just paid somebody to do it. I still have to pay people to work on the van, things that happen on the van, but for the most part, small things I've learned to do myself. YouTube videos are a wonderful way of learning how to do things on your own. So that's how I've changed as a person. Now, as a writer, I'm not as frenzied as I used to be. When I lived in Sticks and Bricks, I had a day job, and I would get up every morning and I would write before I got cleaned up and went to work. And I know my readers aren't going to enjoy hearing this, but I find since I've been on the road that I produce a lot less work. I'm not as frenzied. I'm a lot happier, writing at a slower pace. The first year I had this YouTube channel, I did a video on how I would get up at dark 100, still in the van, and write every morning for several hours. I don't do that anymore. I still write predominantly in the morning. I like having my morning hours to write when my brain is fresh, but I sleep in a little before I grab my coffee and write. And I think that's healthier for me. Although my readers aren't as happy with how slow I'm producing work, it's my new normal for me. I'm also writing a lot more nonfiction pieces. I write articles throughout the year for Winnebago Go Life blog. And those need research as well as the writing. I'm working on a travel book. And I'm still doing my fiction, but I'm not cranking it out at the breakneck pace I used to. So to my readers, I'm sorry. It's coming, but you're going to have to learn to roll with the new Sue Ann Jafarian on this. Now, the last thing I want to discuss is how I have evolved as a full-time nomad, as a traveler. And I have evolved a lot. The first year, I zoomed all over the country. I mean, I was burning rubber from one end of the country to the other. And that's not unusual for a new nomad. You're so excited. You're like a kid with a new toy. And you just want to see everything all at once. You want to see all the things on your bucket list and just check, 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 check. And it's exhausting. The second year, I told myself I was going to slow down. But what I didn't count on was COVID bringing me to a halt. I have never gotten COVID. But when they told us to sit still and, stay in place, I had to sit still and stay in place for a few months. And although I didn't like being told I had to do that, I learned that I enjoy staying in one place for a short time, not a long time, but a short time. I learned that I enjoyed being in an area and slowing the pace down for a few weeks. And because of COVID, I found my niche. I found what I enjoy. Now that I can go wherever I want, whenever I want, I don't. I love going to a really nice campground and staying there for a couple of weeks. Most campgrounds have a limit of 2 weeks. So I like going to the campground, staying for a couple of weeks, getting to know the area, enjoying the scenery. If it's a campground I really like, I might circle back later. I do have several favorites around the country. And sometimes, a few times, I've actually stayed in campgrounds where it was allowed for a month or so. And during that time, I write more, I relax, it's like it becomes my home. My home may have wheels, but for a short time, it's stationary. And I have learned to really embrace this type of nomadic living. Stay somewhere for a couple of weeks, and then move to someplace equally spectacular. Where I go depends on where I want to go next, the weather, if friends are in the area. But now I enjoy getting up in the morning and seeing the same scenery outside my window, at least for a couple of weeks. Then I get itchy wheels. That's what I call it, itchy wheels. And when my wheels start to itch, I know it's time to move on. And I find 2 weeks is a good measure. Although, like I said, sometimes I stay longer in one place. I find that 2 weeks is a good time length for me before I start wanting to chew my foot off. So that's how I've evolved as a traveler. So I hope you've enjoyed this Tuesday video. For those of you who are nomads, maybe it'll help you reflect on how you've changed since you've gotten on the road. So I hope to see you next Tuesday. And if you like this channel, please subscribe. And you have a great week.